So how's it going today, Jeff?
Yeah, going good. Going great.
You
Thanks for
get
having
you
me.
just you just got back from the Hawkeye game. How was that?
Yeah, that was good. Maybe not quite the offensive explosion I was wanting this year, but it's first game of the year, so they got a lot of time. Big one this week. Big one with Iowa State. So hopefully we can pull that one off.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch. So you just had your IWCA fall meeting, kind
Yes.
of highlighting things that are coming up. Uh, what do you got on the horizon here?
Yeah. So we had that Wednesday night. Spent a lot of time, basically most of the time, talking about our convention coming up. I hope they don't care that I'm getting this out there. I'm sure that they don't. They'll be sending stuff out here soon, giving you guys an opportunity to to join the IWCOA, which is huge. Gives a lot of different perks for different things. So I encourage all the coaches, boys, girls coaches, to do that. It's going to be October 18th in Des Moines at the Holiday Inn again, same place that boys had it. And we just kind of, nothing set in stone yet. Just thinking of different areas, different things we're gonna talk about, different things like that. Who we're gonna bring in, just our different breakout sessions. So nothing is really set in stone here yet. We're just kind of, I think I have some people reach out and do some different things like that. Of course, there'll be the banquet and the Hall of Fame inductions, all that good stuff and everything. But yeah, should be really good. Clint Coonan works hard at that, setting all that stuff up, and then gives all of us board members kind of different things to do on the side.
Yeah, that convention really has picked up the last few years. I really think bringing in the girls also helped that
Yeah.
also.
Yep.
Kind of
Refs. Yeah,
reinvigorated some of
and
that.
everything. And if anything, it's just a good time to sit there and collaborate with other coaches, to see other people, and just to sit and talk with them, different things like that. Sometimes you get a lot out of that too. You go to a breakout session, you sit by some coach from wherever, and then all of a sudden you exchange emails with them, phone numbers, and that's a guy in January you can talk to or something. If there's a question, maybe he knows something about some kid down in that part of the state, just different things like that. It's kind of nice having having different connections, and just broaden your wrestling base, I guess.
Oh yeah. And then, the last few years there's been online events. I've had some pretty big time coaches, do some Zoom meetings and
Yeah,
I'm sure you
yeah.
maybe don't have those planned out quite yet, but
No,
will those continue?
I don't think so, but yeah, I think they're going to continue doing that and stuff. Also, we kind of talked about, should we do a boys one? Should we do a girls one? Should we separate them? I think we're just going to do them all together. Coaching's coaching, and stuff. So I think we just keep them all together and stuff. So yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, and then something I think that's been really cool also, especially with a lot of new girls coaches, IWCOA has the mentoring program. And maybe some people don't know about all that. I know you and I both have been involved in that. So maybe talk a
Yeah,
little bit about that.
Yeah, so Dustin Rowland and I are going to kind of maybe start heading that up a little bit. Ankeny's girls coach, Dustin. So yeah, we're not really sure. I think we're gonna have a breakout session at the convention to kind of talk about that. Clint's going to help us out with that, give us some ideas of what the boys have done in the past, and yeah, we don't really have anything really set in stone yet, but we give us something, in the next month and a half to work on, and hopefully we'll be able to break that out and just kind of, yeah, be a mentoring for, like you said, new coaches, new programs, different things. It doesn't even have to be new. It can be old ones. Troy, you and I have talked. If I got an issue, I'm going to call and talk to you, or you got a question, and I talk to coaches around the area. Coaches call me. You don't have to be a brand new coach to ask for help or ask for advice. You're getting better every day. If somebody's doing something that you like, then you want to go and see what they're doing and learn from them. We went to a Luther wrestling camp this summer, and we won our pool play, and we thought we were doing pretty good. Got in the gold bracket, right? That's pretty awesome. And then we wrestled Osage, and then we didn't feel so good. And I talked to Nick afterwards, and the girls. I'm like, that's awesome what you guys do. That makes me a better coach watching you guys, because now I know what I need to do, where we areas we need to work on and stuff. Sometimes getting humbled a little bit makes you a better coach. So that's different things. Mentoring, he maybe didn't know that he did that, but by just sitting there and watching his girls and their pace and how they do stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're an all right team. Now what do we got to do to get that next level? Little things like that. That's mentoring in the same way. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I,
So
I agree with you 100% there. It's nice the camaraderie we have around the girls coaches across the
yeah,
state, to
yeah,
be able to talk to
absolutely.
be able to talk to all of them, and everybody's very helpful. So that's always good.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I'm talking to Jeff Jager, head girls wrestling coach at Central Lyon, George Little Rock, IWCOA Rep. IWCOA rep for Northwest Iowa, which is, so if anybody's got questions in Northwest Iowa, or comments to get, to the upper people in IWCOA, talk to Jeff. And then also, we'll probably be on the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Advisory Committee. You had been sitting in as the representative, but you probably sitting in now as the Northwest Iowa rep, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I filled out my application, I think 2 weeks ago, and sent it in to Aaron, and I guess I'll wait to hear back and see if I got that position, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, so
I like how they do it's a 3-year commitment, is that right?
I believe so. I
I
believe
think
that's
that's
what
what
it is.
and that's good. I think that's what IWCA is also. Be on it for a couple years and then get some new people in there and get their ideas in there and stuff too. I like that. I always happy to help give my I don't know, give my input, my 2 cents, and some of it's maybe all right, some of it's probably not very good, and that's why there's more than just one or two board members. We can kind of decide what's best for the
Exactly.
programs. Yeah,
Yeah, and those positions is when they say president, vice president, whatever. Those really honestly don't matter a whole heck of a lot. Everybody just kind of pitches in and
yeah,
does what
yep,
they need to do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Um, while we're kind of in the subject, you've been sitting in on the Iowa Girls Union meetings. Uh, cool stuff coming up, some things that we've accomplished over the last few years, but then some new things that are going to happen. Um, State duels. That's something
Mhm.
we got started. Won't happen here this year, but the following year. What's your thoughts on state duels? I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's time to do it, whatever. And I'm fine with it. Wait until next year. We're still getting some stuff ironed out with our individual, tournament yet too.
Yeah.
It's the state's growing, so we got to continue. Or the sport. I'm sorry, the sport's growing in the state, so we got to continue to grow with it. We got to get these duels. Got to do stuff like that and stuff. So yeah, I love it. Another way to expose our sport to the younger generation, right?
Yep.
You want to go to the state tournament, you want to do this, well, you make it to a state individual tournament. Now let's do some team stuff. And that brings a whole new thing into it. I coached for the boys team, we made it to state duels and you do the send off, you do all the different things and stuff, and K through 12's there and they're in our gym and you sit in front of them. Like that's really cool stuff. That makes young kids like, oh, I want to do that someday. That's really cool. So just for community, for everything, but it just, yeah, like I said, it just helps continue to grow the sport.
Yeah, and overall duels, I think, is probably one of the best ways to grow our sport, and especially
Uh,
for
yeah.
people that maybe don't know wrestling that well. It's
Mhm.
a lot easier to go sit for an hour and a half, watch a duel, see the
Yeah.
teams compete, get that team feeling instead of an individual tournament where you might be there 8, 10 hours, and your
Yeah.
person you are there watching is every 2 or 3 hours, that you get to watch.
Yeah.
So, it's a
Yeah.
great way to get more people involved, maybe even get a student base to come watch duels and get them excited about the sport. So, yeah.
I agree
Uh,
100%. Yeah.
one of the things that always comes up with Girls Union, Coralville.
Yep.
I personally truly love Coralville, and I think it's a great place to have an event. I under and I come from a coaches, and you're going to come from a coaches athlete standpoint too.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on Coralville and being there for probably at least another year, maybe longer?
Yeah. So if we're talking about the facility for coaches and for athletes, it is awesome. I love it. I like having the big warm up area. I like, we can stay down there, kind of get away from it all right. You get the tunnels, we can walk basically right out to the mats. Then you come back, you can do your cool down. If you had a good match, you can maybe go up to the stands and go see your family. If you need to sit and just, maybe the match didn't go your way, you can kind of just stay separated a little bit. I like going there the night before to get a workout in, and you can do that with the boys too. You can go on the Wednesday night or the night before, but I really like having it there just for those reasons. It's packed, and if you want to go get something at the concession stand, you're going to wait for a while. Different things like that. But that's good. That's cool. That makes it. I guess I don't have to sit up there, so I don't know if they think it's so neat. But being down there on the mats, on like the semifinals, Friday morning, that atmosphere is awesome. And I love that it's full, it's loud, the crowd's getting into it. That adds to it all. So yeah, eventually maybe we'll have to go to something a little bit bigger and stuff. But for right now, I really like it there. We need to make sure we're getting we don't want to turn people away. We don't want to if they can't go and watch their daughter, stuff like that. I get all that, but for right now, I love it down there, and I like the area. It's convenient. That's a long drive for us. That's
Yeah.
5.5 hours for us, and I'm saying, we're good with that. Going down there, even the drive kind of makes it even more special, right? We're getting away, different things like that. Um, but yeah, I really like it. I really like the facility. Yeah,
Yeah.
mainly for like the warm up areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, great facility. I talked to Jake Munson this last week, and he's 12 miles from the arena, and they don't have to travel. They don't stay
Yeah,
overnight. It's almost like a home meet for him. And
yeah.
I was like, that's probably cool because it's, they get to sleep in their own bed. But part of going to state, I think, is, that team bonding. You're in in the room with a
Yeah.
couple of your teammates. So I
Yep.
was kind of torn on that. And we talked about, he saw my point too on that. Um, something that I know we were both hoping for this year. Didn't happen, won't happen this year, maybe next year. Going to the 24 qualifiers, three out of the regionals.
Yep.
I really was hoping we'd get that because I think there's a lot of really quality athletes that didn't get down to state last year.
Yeah.
Not just mine, just a lot of them across the state. Um, I don't know. What's your thought on? I've heard different things, and nothing set in stone, obviously. I've heard, maybe we're going to three classes. Maybe we'll go to three qualifiers. What's your thoughts on what in your mind, not throwing it out there as, hey, this is what we have to do this or I'm going to be mad,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
what just your thoughts and what you like to see.
If I want to be greedy, I had three girls get third last year. So I
Yep.
would have really liked to have third, right? Or have three
Yep.
go. Could have got quite a few more down there. You know, what what's the argument? We don't want to water it down. It's not watered down and it won't be watered down. That's how I look at it. Yeah, it's still an accomplishment making it to state, whether they're 16 or they're 24. That's in my mind. Um, every sport, I guess, you're going to have every now and then somebody make it down there that maybe shouldn't, whatever. Who's to decide that? They
Yep.
qualified. They should be down there. They deserve it. They worked hard, whatever. So I would like to see it expand a little bit more. They'd have to go to 3 days, and it's not just as simple as, oh, let's just do it, and then everything will
Yep.
work out. There's a lot into it, and you know that as much as anybody, running tournaments and different things and being on the advisory board. But I really hope that we do expand it, whether it's three classes, whether it's 24. I don't know anything about that. I don't have any information or anything
Yeah.
like that. But I think it needs to continue to grow because the sport is continuing to grow. And all the stuff we said about state duels, it's the same stuff with our individual state. There's not a whole lot. Iowa State wrestling tournaments, boys and girls, whew, they're hard to beat from across the
Oh yeah.
nation, right? I mean, that's as special as it gets, and we just do it right in this state when it comes to wrestling. So the more people we can get down there, the better.
Yeah. And I had some people message me after the kind of the new top 80 is 2A came out, and they
Yep.
were a little shocked to see that they
Yeah.
might be in 2A, which that's not set in stone either. There's still a lot of co-ops that aren't in there, and there's still co-ops that are maybe not going to be together. So there's a lot to
Yeah.
that.
You got till like
You know,
November 4 before it's finalized, I
yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. And that, part of that is, some of your 1A districts are regionals last year. Man, there was a lot of teams showing up at those
Yeah.
regionals. And if I
Yeah.
remember right, I don't have the numbers 100% right, just so people kind of understand why that got enlarged. I believe in 2A it was like 6 point something people per bracket, and
Yep.
in 2A it was 9 point something per bracket. So they thought that by expanding out another couple, we might even that out. So they're more of a equitable
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
The one in brackets were probably, yeah, a little bit more, yeah, whatever, full. You think of that though, so they added 16 teams to 2A.
Yep.
There's probably going to be 16 new programs to where there's going to
Yep.
be, I figured it out the other day. I was working on some stuff. there's still going to be 18 to 20 teams at every 1A regional. It's the same numbers as last year,
Yeah.
so because it's growing and there's new programs. So yeah, there's going to be more 2A teams. There's going to probably be the same amount of 1A teams too. So, and now some of those smaller schools, they're not bringing 8, 10, 14 girls. They maybe bringing two or three. They still get a chance. They still deserve the opportunity to go and compete and wrestle for a chance to make it a state tournament too. So again, it's continuing to grow. So we
Oh
got to
yeah.
make sure we're just being proactive. You don't ever want to be reactive and say, "Ah, I wish we would have done this." Instead, let's
Yep.
do it, and then and see how it works. But that's easy for me to say, sitting in my office at Central
Yeah.
Lion. It's a little bit
Yeah.
different from making the big decisions. So, but that's why we
Yeah.
have a board. That's why we have a lot of voices and stuff, and then you can kind of you hear it both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even 2A schools, I may not field a full team this next year. There's some of my upper weights. I don't really have anything that I know is coming back, but that could, you can always have somebody walk in the door and hopefully
Yeah,
those top three weights of mine get filled up. So I might only send 9 or 10 to the
yeah,
regional as a pretty good sized co-op. Speaking of teams, Central Iron George Little Rock had been very successful the last 2 years. Um, who's coming back and what do you got coming in?
yeah. Looking forward to this year. Yeah, I look forward to every year. We've had a nice run here for the last couple of years, and I feel like this team's going to be a very strong team. Also, we got 11 of the 14 weights. We got 11 returners coming back. I think I got if everybody goes out, we'll see. From the sounds of it, from our summer stuff, I think I got eight incoming freshmen that will be able to fill in the other three weights. Should be full. We'll see where everybody's weight.
Yep.
Nobody's cutting weight right now. Nobody has to cut weight during the season. All that stuff will work itself out. It always does. Um, Hoping for a full lineup. We should have a full lineup as long as nobody gets hurt or anything like that. But yeah, we should be pretty solid again. I got three returning state qualifiers, two placers coming back. Konechki girls, Molly and Lucy, two placers, and then Michelin Saddam coming back. And then, like I said, all those three girls that got third at regionals, they're coming back. Pretty motivated to it's doesn't sit too well with them, and stuff. And good. I'm
Yeah.
glad it doesn't. So we've had a really nice summer. Had a really good off season. Got some good stuff done and everything. So yeah, we're excited for it. Like I said, we went to that Luther camp. That was awesome. It was really good stuff. We did a lot of really good stuff. And we also learned, like I said, oh, well, there's still some stuff we need to work on too. So a lot of notes were taken. A lot of stuff I got a lot of stuff written down, and yeah, I'm excited for next year.
Yeah, those third place finishers. I wrestled in an article actually this last couple of weeks that talked about those third
Yeah,
place
I saw
finishers from
that.
regionals.
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
you
Yeah,
know what? That's a good perspective just because those kids, man, they were close and probably a lot of them went down and washed and were like, I'll be there next year. And so those
yeah.
spots, that could
Two,
be some.
yeah, two of those gals, two of the three. Well, one was a freshman. The other two got fifth place in regionals the year before when the top four went.
Oh,
So two of
yeah.
them have been one match away 2 years in a row now, and they're both going to be seniors next year. So hopefully we can get there this next year.
Yeah,
So
that'd be great for them.
yeah,
Um, I take some kids down to Florida every year. How are we going to get those Central Lyon, George Little
yeah,
Rock girls to come along on that trip? I've had
I know.
invited a few. I think they all play softball.
We got softball. These girls work up here too. They like their jobs. They work, and stuff. And I'd love to get them down there. We got to get them. Got to get their broaden their horizons a little bit here. I think we get pretty settled and we get pretty comfortable up here and doing the workouts that we do here and stuff and everything. So yeah, need to expand their horizons a little bit. I think would be awesome. So.
So of course, we need those middle school and youth programs, to keep feeding our high school programs.
Yeah.
How's the numbers look, youth and middle school?
Yeah. So last year, our middle school numbers, I got really good middle school coaches, and that is huge. We really like the middle school I feel like is, youth is awesome. Well, I'll get into that a little bit, but the middle school I feel like is where you get those in-betweeners. You get
Hmm.
those girls that are going to maybe be 500 wrestlers for the first couple years in high school, and then maybe by the time they're juniors and seniors are competing for a chance to get to state, right? They didn't do it their whole lives, but they come in, and sometimes the seventh graders, they're not burnt out, they're just sponges. They come in. So we had, I think, 26 girls last year in middle school.
Wow.
Um, and then now I got a big group of them that are going to be freshmen this year. I got a good eighth grade group, but our seventh grade group or seventh grade class here at Central Lyon has like 9 girls total, and none of them wrestle. So I got a couple basketball players in there, which we're going to have that, and a couple other ones that don't. So we got some work to do to get them there. George Litterack, it's a really small girls class too. So our numbers in middle school will be down this year no matter what.
Hmm.
But now we got to work on getting a few more out hopefully, and the ones that are there are going to get a lot of attention. So, and we, like I said, really good middle school coaches. Jeff Kruger is kind of our middle school head coach, and he's been around the sport forever. I wrestled with him in high school. Kruger's a family; it's a wrestling name in George. He does amazing, and then his assistant is Jerry Poletsky. His daughter wrestles for me, kind of new to wrestling, but he loves it. He loves the program, and he's really good for the girls. So I'm really lucky to have that middle school program. Program, yeah, youth program is always in good hands. Coach Konechny runs that. The numbers are going to continue to grow with that stuff too, and we push that, but not like overly on pushing those young girls. Just hey, give it a shot, see if you like it and stuff. So yeah, they're continuing to grow. We got some studs in there. We got some good ones coming up. So it's exciting. Very excited for it.
Part of building these programs is creating that good culture and environment. What are some of the things that you're doing at Central Lyon that maybe somebody else, getting started could maybe benefit from?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. You think of that sometimes, like our culture, it's more than just the team, it's the families, it's community, it's everything. And we're so lucky here at Central Line George Litterack to have that. Our families are bought in. Our parents are awesome. Our community, we fill up duels. Like we have a side of a gym and a mezzanine, and those duels are packed for our boys and girls duels. So that's huge. You go to tournaments, and we always have a huge crowd there. You always see it. We always travel well. But for the girls, and not even for the girls, but as far as coaches too, is buying in. You got to buy into it. Wins, losses take care of itself. We'll worry about wins and losses, when we need to. That's on us. But the whole overall culture is just buying into the program and understanding how special it is and how special it can be if you allow it to be. And I've had some really good leaders in my years. We're going to year 4 here, right? So my seniors, it's going to be their 4th year. Well, not all of them, but I got I've always had great leaders. A lot of them wrestling families, or a few of them have been wrestling families, and that has helped so much. But the girls got to see that you as a coach care about the program, that you're invested in it, and you're working hard to make them better. And maybe not even just better wrestlers, but better people. And that is so important. They know that you care, then they're going to work hard for you. And that's really what we try hard to do. I have girls stop in my office all the time. We'll talk about wrestling sometimes. I, I don't care about them just as wrestlers. There's so much other stuff out there. They got to know that they care. And once they see that from you, then they're going to work hard for you.
All athletes struggle with this, but I think girls especially seem to struggle with confidence.
Hmm.
And, maybe this is $1 million question. If you can answer this question, you might be able to write a book and be rich. But what are some ways that we can help build confidence in our new athletes, our female athletes? They really fight that person in the mirror. That's
It is.
a big
You
struggle.
you know, I struggled with it. I struggled with it as a wrestler. I struggle with it as a coach sometimes, right? It's hard. You get intimidated, different things like that. So you just try to prepare them the best you can. Sometimes you learn the most from losses. How do you react? How do you handle it? Different things like that. I you know my very few people can say, "Oh, my wrestling career was great and exactly how I wanted it." I think sometimes the best coaches are ones that have went through it and have struggled and have felt that hurt of what it feels like to lose a tough match or not to accomplish your goal, right? And unfortunately, I felt that quite a bit. As a wrestler, you set those high standards, you never meet them, right? So being relatable to them, understanding where they're at, meeting them where they're at is huge, right? And you just keep trying to build them up. And sometimes the less you say, the better. Maybe you just need to be there and let them vent to you, let them cry on your shoulder a little bit, whatever it is, right? But then also, sometimes you might need to kick them in the rear and say, all right, let's quit feeling sorry for yourself. You're good enough. Now let's go. We got to get going. So it's finding that balance. It's finding that, where is that? Honestly, I coach the girls the exact same way I coached boys for 13 years, for whatever many years I was an assistant coach, right? I'm not a big yeller and screamer. I don't do that stuff, but the standards are the standards. So that that's the expectations. We're going to do that, when we're in the room, when we're in this program. So giving them that gives them confidence, but it's tough. It's tough, and maybe I hurt a little bit more when girls hurt than boys did sometimes too. Just a little bit, just a little bit more. I don't know, feel for them a little bit more, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there's a different emotion between the two
Yeah,
sport, or between the boys and the girls,
yeah,
which I think it might be tougher again on coaches than it
yeah,
is on
yeah. It
athletes.
is.
You know,
It is. Yeah,
I can honestly say that being a good coach probably means that you had some really good coaches coming up, your high school coaches, and who are some of the coaches that influenced you as a coach?
yeah. So, Dave Schaefer, Spencer's coach, is Coach
Mhm.
Schaefer. Everybody knows
Yep.
him, right? So he was my coach my freshman and sophomore year. And then after my sophomore year, I went to Spencer. But he was a coach well before that, right? He coached my brother. My brother's 4 years older than me. Was a really successful wrestler, was a state runner-up, wrestled at Buena Vista. So I was in that room all the time. I was around him all the time. So I was around Schaefer, for all his years. I don't know how many years he was at George Lurek, maybe like 7 or 8. So I was around him through elementary as my elementary teacher. So Coach Schaefer definitely had a big impact on me. But I'd say my brother, he coached at Morningside. He started that program back up. It's the early 2000s.
Yep, it probably would have
It's
been.
4 years behind him. So I always watch him in high school. I'd always watch his tapes. It was, I didn't watch a whole lot of my stuff. I'd always watch a lot of his stuff. But then just watching him coach in college, different things like that, I've learned a lot from him. Then my dad, just always being in wrestling, a lot of, if I got to go to stuff, if I got questions, got different things like that, or just need to talk, whatever. He was always a good one growing up, and still yet to this day, right? But I'm lucky, maybe not so much, the coaches I have right now in the room is who I learned from now, right? We got unbelievable boys coaches, unbelievable girls coaches. We all together, right? I mean, assistant coach, you can call him assistant coach. He's a coach. Is Paul Konechny, he's a two-time national champ from SCSU. That's not bad to have, right? In
Yeah.
your room. Curtis Eben been coaching for, oh gosh, since 2007, 6 or 7. So much success for our boys. And then the Van Beeks, Keith and Mitch, Keith is the dad. He's been coaching here since the 90s, and Mitch, he's my assistant. Then we got some good young ones. We're got a really, really, really good staff, and there are a lot of times, you know, I'll tell, hey, Coach K, show this. You can show this better than me. He shows a lot of the technique. Him and Coach Mitch Beek show a ton of the technique because they can do it better. It'd be dumb of me to go in there and try to, whatever. I'm learning every day. That's what's making me a better coach. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
it's just my own coaches. I learn a lot in my room every single day.
Yeah. Your best coaches learn just I mean, I can go to a practice at BV or something and I'll pick up way
Yeah.
more than my athletes ever pick up because I'm like, oh,
Oh,
that's
it,
something
it
we can do. That's something that, there's
absolutely. If
yeah,
you're not doing that, if you think you know everything, or if you're too arrogant to learn to anybody, whew, you're gonna have a hard time getting any better.
yeah.
So yeah, that's big. I'm very lucky. We're very, very lucky here. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky.
You definitely are. It's a great program. Definitely up and coming for the girls. The boys program has been solid for years,
Yeah.
so just a great
Yeah.
environment to have a program in. Um,
Yeah.
Legacy. legacy is something that as I get older, I think about. Actually, my dad was the one that probably started talking to me about that because he talked to me about. It was probably a year before he passed away. He talked to my brother and I about the legacy and things that we do that make him proud and just to know that his name is going to live on through that.
Yeah.
As we're coaching and stuff, our kids, the ones that we're coaching, what are you hoping that they take from you?
Whew, that's a deep question. I honestly I hope that they understand that I want them to be successful on the mat. We want to win. Why I wouldn't coach if I didn't want to win, right? That's
Yep.
competitiveness. But I hope they understand, and I hope they do. I think they do that they mean more to me than just a wrestler, right? Just somebody that goes out and gets a medal or places or gets 6 points for us or whatever. At the end of the day, that's it's awesome, and you got all these tournament titles and all this stuff like that. But I want them to know that when they're 25 years old and they need something, they can always call Coach Jager and
Yep.
I'd help them out, or they just anything like if they're a freshman in college and they're homesick. I'm going to call Coach once and just see how they're doing. I got a lot of relationships with former wrestlers. Coach Van Beek and then Coach Winkle coached for me. They're two of my former wrestlers that I coached on the boys' side, right? They come back and they want to continue to be part of this program. So that I'd say for a legacy that they understand that yeah, that's wrestling's great. That's what brought us together. That's what helped us build our relation or start a relationship, but that continue to grow that, and that's not just who they are to me, much more than just a wrestler.
Very good. Like that. Good answer.
Yeah.
Um, one question before I kind of move into getting to know you as a person a little bit more, and I think people like to get to know people, as a person, not just as coach, but uh, define success for your team.
Um, you know, like the political answer or whatever the correct answer, I guess, would be you show up every single day and you work hard and you get better every day, right? That's what we all want. We want them to come in every single day and do that. You add on to that, you want to win. I mean, I mean, we do got a good team here. Sometimes you in a couple of years, my numbers might be way down, and then my
Yep.
success might look different. It might not be about winning duels and winning stuff. It might be about, you know, can we compete? Can we do this stuff? How we building whatever, or building it back up. So, but you want them to come in every single day. You want them to work hard. You want them to compete, but then at the same time, you want them to be respectful in school, be respectful to their parents at home. You want them to have good work ethics, which our girls do. They work outside of school in the summer, stuff like that. You want them to go and be good citizens, be good mothers someday. Hopefully raise a bunch of other little wrestlers coming up and stuff. So it goes further than that. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I don't know,
Good.
probably
That's
hold
that.
on there.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah,
None of us coaches probably would be anywhere without our wives at home
yeah,
and
yeah.
the families.
Yeah.
So, who is at home for you? What do
Yeah,
you,
so my wife Angie, we got married in '01, so I've been married for a while. My oldest daughter Ella is a sophomore at USF, University of Sioux Falls, going into
Mhm.
elementary education. And then my youngest daughter Emery is a sophomore here at Central Lyon. Yeah, she's a football manager, wrestling manager, kind of um, does all the stuff that I like doing too. So yeah.
Nice. So you get to be a little bit of a. Did either one of the kids play sports
Yes,
at all?
Ella, my oldest, was softball player. She pitched and then ran track and did cross country. And then Emery did stuff like in middle school and everything. Now she's just a manager and she's in the choir and different things like that.
Still get to be a fan in the choir though.
Absolutely,
You got something to go
absolutely.
watch.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna mix in some fun questions,
Sure.
some wrestling questions, some non-wrestling questions.
Yeah.
So, uh, practice playlist. Who gets to decide?
Oh, that gets pretty heated sometimes. So we're in the same room with the boys. So it kind of depends. Now, when the first couple weeks, if I get a hold of it, we're listening to '90s country or listen to '80s rock. So that's pretty simple. The girls don't always like that stuff, and then some other little weird music sometimes that if they beat me to it stuff. But as long as it doesn't have cuss words, I kind of let it go. But sometimes some of their music, I don't even know, pop music, I guess, or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But you grow up in, I wrestled at George Little Rock. We were straight 80s rock, so like you get that. You play some AC/DC and Metallica. That's kind of what I'm used to. But I let the girls will pick sometime. I put 90s country on and they all start complaining. So then they can change it to some of their stuff. So
I usually lose that battle myself too. I'd
yeah,
be kind of in that same group as you. I'd throw on
yeah,
some AC/DC, Metallica,
yeah.
Motley Crue. Those, that's
I
that's
think
where I'd live too.
all the coaches from our generation, that's our go-to stuff. That's what we're gonna go to. So yeah. No, they're good. They listen to their music isn't too terrible bad, I guess. But yeah, they're one Briley, my 55 pounder always is running over there trying to beat me to the room, so or to our iPad. So yeah.
Food's a real important thing to wrestlers. We're gonna go a couple different directions with this.
Yeah.
Uh, After weigh-ins, what do you have some suggestions that you have the kids eat, or the
So
what's
one thing that,
what's
yeah, we really lucked out last year. I had a parent that kind of took charge of this, and a parent or two would bring like a big cooler stuff to every tournament. So the honey sticks was huge. I didn't know honey sticks were that big. We had I don't know how many, about 1,000 of them, whatever. But
wow.
we'd have bread, peanut butter, some deli meat, granola bars, Gatorade, water, just kind of all the basic stuff. Honey, different things like that. Just anything to kind of, get some energy back in you, get some electrolytes back in you, whatever it is, just for that. So some girls still like bringing their own stuff, which is fine, but we always had stuff there. So I was always, that's nice. That's one thing those parents, I never had to worry about it. They always had stuff. So if there was a gal that didn't pack a lunch or somebody that maybe they don't know much about wrestling, they know what to bring. And so you just see that they have some different things like that. I think it was my first tournament, it was in where did we wrestle at? Sioux Rapids. It was our first tournament ever. And you didn't really think about it. Mine's going all over the place and everything. Girl's eating a piece of pizza right before a match. I go, what are you doing? You can't. And I was like, well, she doesn't know. I never told her. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Put that away. So then we had a little nutrition talk and stuff. But yeah, that's stuff, I was always spoiled. Um, my mom had everything ready for me all the time. My brother was before me, so she learned kind of through him. So I always had stuff growing up. So I guess I kind of took that for granted sometimes.
You know, as wrestlers, we do love food. Do you have a guilty pleasure food? I'm going to tell you, mine's ice cream all day, any
Oh
day.
yeah, yeah. Uh, back when I was in high school cutting weight, I always cut a decent amount. I think all of us did back then, right? I'd always have one of the first things that my mom would make me afterward. I like sweets. It would make Rice Krispie caramel bars, and I would eat about a whole pan of them. And my stomach was this big, and by the end it'd be this big, and I'd feel like crap for about 3 days. But I like the sweets was always kind of what I always missed or what I always was craved during the season. So yeah, bars, cookies, different things like that.
So if you're going to take your wife out for a real fancy dinner, where are you going to go and what are you going to have?
Real fancy. I don't know about how fancy I am. Here's my number one place is the taco house in Milford up at Okoboji. You ever eaten there?
I have not, but
Oh
I'm
man.
getting Jake gave me some information for in the Solon area. Now you're giving me some good
Yeah.
information so I can travel a little bit and eat.
It's only open like it's not open in the winter, but that's kind of that's my number one place is the taco house up at the lakes. So
Nice.
people
Well,
either
if I
love it or they don't like it at all, but it's yeah, that's kind of our go-to.
vacation spots, places that you'd really like to go, and then if you had your dream destination, where are you going to go?
Oh, dream destination is a Rose Bowl to go watch the Hawkeyes play, but that'd be my number one. We go to Estes Park, Colorado, about every year. My family, we love it out there. Love hiking, just being out in the mountains. You can't really beat that. So, if the Hawkeyes don't do their part and never make a Rose Bowl, I'd like to go out to um, Tetons in Wyoming, and then that Glacier National Park kind of out in Montana. I think that'd be awesome. I'm not much of a beach guy. I'd rather, a lot of people like going to the beaches and stuff. I kind of like the mountain area.
Yeah, I think you're either a beach person or you're a mountain person, I think,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, um, you may not even have time to do any of this, but do you got any TV shows you binge?
Not really. This kind of I don't know if people will remember. I guess older people will. I watch a lot of Seinfeld from Netflix.
Yep.
I watch Seinfeld a lot. I like The Office. I like kind of those sitcom type of dumb shows that you can just kind of sit and laugh at. I feel like, we work at the school and then you coach. Everything's kind of serious all the time. Sometimes I like just turning off my brain and watching something dumb that I don't really have to think about. But yeah, that's probably that. I don't really watch any reality stuff or anything like that.
Yeah, Seinfeld's probably not a bad way to go. Complete
Oh my
show about
gosh,
absolute show about nothing.
I love it. I think I've watched every episode. I don't even know how many times, but yeah, it's pretty good. So
Yeah, I'm with you there. I watch a lot of
yeah,
Seinfeld. My
yeah,
wife will hit Friends also. Seinfeld,
yeah,
Friends. I've
yeah.
tried Cheers again from back in the old
Oh
days, but
yeah,
Cheers is a little bit harder. It didn't hold up as well, I don't think, as
yeah,
Seinfeld
yeah,
or
yeah.
but
I can see that. So I like those comedy sitcom type of things where I don't have to. I don't know. I can just sit and watch it and relax. So I watch a lot of football now. Like I'll get into that and just kind of sports stuff, whatever.
yeah, this is my favorite time of the year. I
Yeah,
love college football, man.
yeah,
I've enjoyed the last couple of weeks getting to watch
yeah,
football again.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
Favorite wrestling shoe?
Favorite what? Wrestling shoe?
Wrestling shoe?
So growing up, I had the old blue Dan Gable ASIC split soles, and
Yep.
I don't know what I did with them. I'd love to have those. So I always liked the ASIC ones. Probably the last, I don't know how long have Rudis been getting big. I have all.
It was about COVID time
Yeah, probably.
ish.
I have all Rudis shoes now. I love the Rudis brand. No really particular. I have the Dave Schultz ones that I really like. I just bought a pair actually that I don't like as much as my other ones. I don't even know what they were. They're a little cheaper ones, so I don't even know if I'll wear them much. But I like Rudis. I like that Rudis brand a lot. So
Did you have the Dan
yeah,
Gables, the true split soles with the big white puffy back?
yep, that's the best
I
shoe ever.
I don't know what I honestly accidentally threw mine away. I
Yeah,
loved those shoes. I wore them from my junior year of high school through college. I had
yeah.
another pair in there but like for 6 years, those were my go-to shoes.
Yeah. And the old ASIC Tiger, I like the old ASIC Tiger and stuff too. ASIC was kind of the only brand there. Maybe some kids had Adidas. I don't really
Yeah.
remember. But ASIC was about what everybody wore back then, I feel like in the 90s. So
Yeah, Asics were definitely big. I
yeah.
remember one match, we talk about head cases and stuff like that. Um, it was one of my fresh matches my freshman year, and the kid had all white shoes, and I was like, oh, I think we were making fun of him, and I didn't think they were even Asics, and I shot in on a low single, and I looked and they were Asics, and he actually was really good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny how those,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
There were different things like that. Absolutely. Yeah.
right in the middle of a match.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's good stuff. Yeah.
so is I know my coaching has changed over the years. Is there something in your coaching career that impacted you that made you change the way, maybe didn't make you, but did change the way you coach?
I honestly, it goes back to me being willing to get better all the time and seeing what other people maybe do better than me or just always being able just willing to learn whatever. So I think I change all the time, hopefully for the better. I continue to grow. I'll go to this coaching convention. I hope I learned two or three different things. I it's this I called Clint last year. I think I was watching an old tape of our boys doing Sergeant Bluff, and they do this ride that they do, and they turned our kid, and it was a big match. So I like calling, go, Clint, how do you do that? Like trying to figure out other ways to continue to grow and continue to build. So I don't know if there's any one thing that changed, but hopefully I'm continuing to change and to grow all the time.
Nice, good answer.
Hmm.
Um, I still remember hearing things from my head coach in high school and things that he would say. Is there a coach's phrase that you kind of hear or you repeat all the time to your girls now that maybe came from one of your older coaches?
I don't know if I did. That'd probably be a better question for them. I don't know if I maybe subconsciously I just yell same stuff. I don't know if I really see a lot of snickering behind my back that oh, you just said it again, and they start laughing at me. I'm not sure if I did or not. So I don't think so. Not necessarily, but they might have a different answer for you.
Yeah, maybe it's just me getting old and I ramble on a
Yeah.
lot now that the
Yeah.
girls make fun of me all the time. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
so if you got a promotion and you were the head of the NFHS in charge of making rules for wrestling,
Mhm.
is there a rule that you would change or make?
Hmm. You know, I when we did that coaches roundtable, we kind of talked about rules and stuff too. And I said, and I really don't think about the rules a whole heck of a lot, to tell you the honest truth. Whatever they are, we'll adapt to them. You know, for me, I just want consistency with it and stuff. So I really probably a very boring answer, but I don't really think about that a whole heck. I'm not very good at that part of it of like the coaching part of the rule part. That's
Oh,
like
that's
Coach Konechki and stuff. He studies that stuff. Then beaks like they know those rules down pat. So when I have a lot of times I have questions, I'll like look at them and is that right? What's going on? So yeah, probably kind of a boring answer there for you. Sorry.
nope, that's all right. No, that's fine. Um, Couple questions left, and then I'll give you a chance to just kind of have some final thoughts.
Sure.
Here's a fill in the blank. Since school started, you're back in school too. Wrestling has taught me to blank
For like me personally,
for you personally.
my work ethic, 100%. And that's one thing is you can't fake wrestling. You can't go to a wrestling practice and not work very hard that day. It doesn't work, right? So, and if you are, you're going to get your butt kicked. So you better be okay with that. But I contribute my work ethic, a lot of it to how I was raised, obviously, but also to the sport of wrestling. I use it every day, every single day. So.
And so I look back and some of the guys I used to watch that I looked up to, and the girls, man, there's so many great wrestlers right now that it's that they can watch. Is there someone like I'll tell you mine, Royce Alger, Brad Penrith, that year the Hawkeyes, Rico Chiapparelli,
Yeah.
man, that was those guys I looked up to a lot. Who are somebody that maybe you looked up to as an athlete?
Yeah. So besides my brother, which that's a little bit too easy of an answer, right? That's too Tom and Terry, obviously. So I grew up in Northwest Iowa. I was elementary, middle school age when they were in Iowa. And we had a little bit of time. My dad actually went to high school with their parents, so I've kind of known them. They'd get us some tickets and stuff like that growing up. But oh man, I'll still watch some YouTube videos of Tom and Terry every now and then, but and stuff. So. Yeah, 100% with Brands boys.
Yeah, they were fun to watch.
Sprinkle
Definitely
and
fun to
Mark
watch.
Ironside. Sprinkle and
Oh
Mark
yeah.
Ironside. I liked him a lot too. But
Yeah. Yeah, that was that kind of that next group of wrestlers after like Alger and stuff. I'm a little older than
yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. Alger, I kind of remember watching him on Iowa Public TV a little bit, but yeah,
uh-huh.
I was pretty young then. So kind of when I started like knowing what was going on and really started following it was Tom and Terry's age, and that whole team was unbelievable. It was so awesome. So
Oh yeah. I remember, I mean, I'm about the same age as Tom and Terry, but I went to camp with Chad Zapatil a couple
oh
times
yeah.
at Iowa State, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember those that match. It was must have been Terry and Chad in the state finals. I think it was a
Yeah.
state final. Man, what
And-
it's amazing. And then to have them go wrestle for Iowa national championship. Man, they were good. They were
Crazy.
fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I always leave some time for some final thoughts on the day and hopefully you got something for us.
Yeah. Just want like some final thoughts of girls wrestling or
Whatever, it's your time, not
yeah.
my
Well,
questions.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no. Well, I appreciate you doing this and appreciate what you do for girls wrestling and get stuff out. I'm excited. I was driving home from Iowa City today and I listened to a bunch of podcasts of what you've done. So it's kind of nice, helps just continue to grow the sport and continue to do that. We talked a lot about the mentoring stuff, different things like that. I just encourage coaches to reach out. It's all right to reach out to somebody and then in a couple days later want to beat them in a duel or a tournament and be competitive with them yet, right? You can still be
Oh yeah.
competitive and be fiery and get after it and shake each other's hands afterwards and different things like that too. But you got questions, reach out. I do it all the time. And if somebody doesn't have the answer, then maybe both can learn something and find somebody that does. So just continue to grow the sport in that way. Be good examples for those girls and yeah, just excited to get the season going and see the Northwest Iowa coaches at tournaments and see other coaches down at the state tournament.
Yeah, good statement. Yeah, we definitely, we compete against each other all the time, but we're
Yeah,
take advice from each other too. So yeah, it's
absolutely. When our girls are competing, we both want to win, and then afterwards, you move on and yeah, you continue to grow that way. So
all right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. I will
yeah,
hopefully see you very soon.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet.